Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurial Athlete. So, y'all, as you can see, it's a little bit different today. It's just myself. You only have me, and definitely wanted to test out, these solo episodes with just you and me. Me just talking to you, just sharing my story a little bit with you and sharing what I've learned along the way. Because I've realized maybe you aren't really hearing some of my story as closely when I have a guest, and so wanted to take this opportunity to test it out. If you all like it, we'll see. I might add more of these types of episodes. I'm definitely, most of my episodes will still be having a guest, but yeah, we'll see how these go. So the topic that I want to talk to you about today is more so about my transition from playing basketball to business ownership and kind of what I've learned along the way. I have about three talking points. So some of the talking points will have some stories I will share with you along the way. So, all right, let's get into the first one. So the first one I want to talk to you about when I lost my identity after I stopped playing basketball. So I know that a lot of people's experience in playing college ball or high school um, might not be kind of like mine. So when I ended, well, kind of like the several last couple of years of my college career, it was filled with a lot of drama. Drama that, of course, I added to that, learned from it. I was definitely I take accountability. Let me just say that for my actions and all of things there. But it my last 2 years was filled with just like a lot of unnecessary drama, and it was not just around me playing basketball. So I was very, very urgent to. Well, it was. I really wanted to graduate. Let me just say that very quickly, and I kind of wanted to just leave all of the drama in the past and literally start new. So going from my very last basketball game, we made it to the NCAA tournament. My experience at this, just playing in the tournament altogether, is always amazing. Playing at Syracuse, I will say that we were always treated like, I mean, I would say like kind of royalty from my experience. I never lived that way. So when I say like luxury, I mean we were flying private. We had a lot of the nice gear. Food. We had a lot of good things. I mean, compared to now, I mean, shoot, these athletes now, I mean, they have it made with the NIL deals and all the things there. But back in the day, I mean, I thought it was pretty amazing. And but the final game though, we went in, played our game, and we actually lost in the very first round. That actually was not expected. I think we were, hold on, let me make sure. I think we lost in either the first or the second round. One of the two, but we were expecting to go past that. And obviously we did not. And so that kind of stung a little bit. But at the same time, I was a bit like relieved because I can kind of just put basketball aside. At that point, I kind of had an idea that I was not going to play overseas. I didn't even talk to any agents. I kind of just read it off. Like I was just like, I'm done with basketball. I didn't really have the best career at Syracuse. I mean, who would want an athlete that, I mean, maybe averaged 2 points and 2 points a game in my best year? So So I didn't think that was possible for me, even though that playing pro was always my dream. But, as you get older, you just realize, you come to a realization that things change and it just isn't meant to be anymore. And so that's one of them. I just realized, like, hey, playing pro is just not in my cards. Now let me start thinking about after college. Okay, like where am I going to work? Where do I want to live? Like, what do I want to do with my life? And so now fast forward to kind of like graduation time, like kind of wrapping up the school year. I had an opportunity to go to have a mission trip, go to Haiti, and stay there for, I don't know, I think maybe a week. I can't remember how long we stayed there, but I had that opportunity all lined up for me. But the thing was that if I go to Haiti, I would miss my graduation. Like, I would not walk across the stage. I would not do any of the graduation festivities. And so I remember having a conversation with my mother just about what I should do. Like, I don't know, like this is an important time in my period, in my life. I'm going to only graduate college, one time, at least with a bachelor's. At least that's what I was thinking at the time. But at the same time, though, like going to Haiti is a life-changing moment for me. Never been to Haiti before, and I would be able to do a missions trip, right? I've always wanted to do a missions trip. I would be able to serve young children there and really just experience how they live there. And so I knew that I would not be able to do that. Well, I knew that those types of opportunities are far few and beyond. What's the saying? Far few and between, whatever. But I knew I wouldn't have as many many times to do that. So I made a decision, and because I just had such a bad experience, I was just trying to get rid of put college behind me. I was like, I'm going to Haiti. I didn't even take graduation pictures. Like, I literally did not, didn't do anything in regards to graduation. And I went straight to Haiti. And looking back, one of the things my mom asked me back then was just make sure that whatever decision you make, you will not regret it when you get older. And that stuck with me. And to this day, I do not regret it. I don't care that I don't have any graduation pictures. I don't miss waving to my family on the stage. I mean, I don't miss any of that. But I will say, going to Haiti, experiencing that moment, and being able to serve those children and serve God, really. I mean, that was amazing. I have all the pictures from those moments. Hey, just real quick, I know you're watching the episode, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit. I got to put you on game to something that is going to be huge for former athletes stepping into entrepreneurship. If you're a former athlete, you're looking to build or scale your business, you need to be in my school community. And I promise you, it's not going to be just some regular online group, but it's literally a network of all of us, former athletes who get what it's like transitioning from sports into business. And what that group is going to be called, Entrepreneurial Athlete. And I promise, we know, right? We know what it's like in sports, right? You have teammates and you can level up together. And that's exactly what this community is going to be about. And so inside, you'll find some great stuff, networking opportunities with other athletes. You get expert insights, not only from myself, but from the great podcast guests that you are watching. You also get collaboration opportunities. It could be for building your brand or even getting some type of referrals or anything like that to grow your business. And then also exclusive events and trainings, not just virtual, but also in person as well. So check me out. Check out the link of the community. You do not want to miss it. It's going to be down in the description below. And just looking back, and it was definitely life-changing. So going back to, losing my identity after I graduated, right? I will say that having those moments after I left Haiti, coming back home and trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life, definitely lost myself. And it did not help, of course, when I did not have a great last couple of years in college. That was added on to it because I just wanted to be better. I wanted to do better. Um, and and so now adding another layer to that where I'm not playing basketball anymore. I mean, I have started playing basketball when I was 3 or 4 years old. So 20 something years playing the sport, and now all of a sudden I'm not playing it anymore. I definitely lost myself. And I had moments where it was like, now what? What do I do now? And I remember personally, I just dove into finding a job that I would like, that I would be able to have good and new experience with, and meeting new people and getting out of my city. I don't know. I wanted to experience other cities. I'm from Ohio, and I moved back home. Love my city, love my state. I mean, I had a great childhood. But I think I knew personally that I needed to leave that environment to really grow and grow personally. And so I was looking at jobs all over. I mean, Philly, just all over, honestly. And I landed a job in Chicago. And I mean, that was really it. I lived in Chicago for like 4 or 5 years, maybe like 4 years. But what I want to say though, what I realized when I left the sport, once I just detached myself from basketball, I realized that all this time I was trying to recreate myself, like instead of building upon those experiences from basketball and just all the things that came with it, I tried so hard to find something new, be this different version of myself, where that wasn't necessary. I in hindsight, and I want to encourage someone, if you are going through this stage, to, of course, be still. Think about which I'm going to get into, kind of redefining what success looks like. So I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but to not be so focused on just trying to be a brand new, right? Use all of those skills that you learned during that time of playing your sport and just compound it, build upon it. And I'm telling you, you'll be, at least from my experience, I believe that you will be able to not necessarily think about who am I, like now that I don't have a sport anymore, or I'm not playing my sport, you won't necessarily think about like, who am I without this sport? It will be more of like, who can I now, what's a different, how can I grow into Felicia 2.0 now? Using all of those experiences and then building upon it, right? Like, and that could be with whatever you do. If you wanted to go into coaching, if you wanted to do like starting a business or just diving into the workforce, right? You're going to think about, hey, I am going to use these experiences from an athlete to now being a great employee, because I went through these experiences for a reason. This is my identity, like my sport. Yes, I will always be an athlete. Now I'm going to take that into being an athlete I'm an athlete in the workforce now. I'm an athlete in the coaching space, in the business space now. I'm always going to be an athlete, and that should be the thought process. Is always going to be a part of you. So that's definitely kind of what I want to go with for talking point number one. And so now going into my second talking point, this is more talking about my transition into business, because when I graduated, when I started working for the first time, business was never on my forefront of my mind. I never thought that I would be a business owner, have multiple businesses, have investment properties. Like, I never envisioned that for myself. What I was taught was get a good degree, which was technology, because technology is not going anywhere. It's always improving. So I got a degree in IT. Next up was get a good job after college. Well, I did that. I did have a good job after college, but I got laid off, and actually marketing. It was not in IT. But then I dove into getting a good job in IT, and that's what I did. So that was my vision for myself after college. And I thought that was what I was supposed to do. Now, during that time, I do a lot of thinking on what I wanted my life to look like, what I want my life to look like. And I thought that climbing the corporate ladder was going to be able to, I needed to climb the corporate ladder to live the type of life that I wanted. And at the time, that life was just being able to not live paycheck to paycheck, and when I wanted to start my family, to be able to attend sporting events, and being able to like not stress on my finances, right? So that was what success looked like for me, and doing that was just climbing the corporate ladder, work my way up. That's what I thought. Now things change when I actually met my then husband. Now husband, then boyfriend. And then actually he never convinced me. Like, he never had to do anything of like that, or like there was nothing convincing of it. But like, when I met him, his mindset was totally different. He knew, probably since college, that he did not want to work for someone else anymore. Like, he would always say, like, that's just, he didn't want to work. What did he say? That's the rat race. Like, I know y'all know what I'm talking about, but like, he didn't want to do that. He wanted freedom to be on his own timeline and to live however he wanted to live. And so as I was around him more, he started his business, or like just thinking differently, by listening to Tai Lopez. I didn't listen to him at the time really deeply, but of course, with what Marcus, my husband, learned from Tai Lopez, we would have those types of conversations. And it honestly, just over time, it transformed my mind and my thinking. And that's why I'm so big on association to this day. And it could be physical association or just digital association. That whoever we hang around, whoever we allow to consume in our mind, will shape how we think, what we think, all our emotions, all of that. And this was my first piece of association, because the moment that I met him, we were just building businesses. Like, we started out in Amazon FBA. Then we did some real estate. And that's how we kind of got into owning a couple of our investment properties. And then we did a little bit of podcasting. So, that's a whole nother topic on its own. Kind of, we dabbled a lot into different businesses, trying to figure out what our purpose was, what our passion was. And so yeah, but I will say though, in the beginning of starting business though, freedom still was never my goal. My goal really was, I'm going to be an employee and I am going to build a business on the side. That was it. I never imagined myself being a full-time business owner. Honestly, didn't know a lot of business owners at that time. But my mom is is an entrepreneur now, full blown business owner. But then she was not a full time business owner. So I didn't know anyone that was full time. So from my lens, I was thinking, hey, I want the stability of a paycheck from a company, and then I would just build something on the side. And so, yeah, I think I did that for quite some time, had that type of mentality until I will say, which this is, I don't want to get into too much of this story, but until I had kids. I think kids really well, my first daughter, just changed me. And that is when I knew that being an employee for me, never going to downplay being an employee, because everybody, or most of us, aren't meant to be employees. I'm sorry, most of us aren't meant to be entrepreneurs. There are some people that are meant to be employees. Some of us are meant to be split, having been an employee and a business owner, and some of us are meant to be full-time entrepreneurs. But having my daughter, my first daughter, showed me that as I climbed the corporate ladder, I would not have as much freedom as I thought I would have. And by the time I had my daughter, I had a role that gave me a lot of flexibility, surprisingly. But I knew though that I could not, if I am climbing, like if I get higher roles or just leadership roles, that I'm going to be chained to my desk essentially. And I knew that I did not want that for myself. And I would rather put all of the energy that I am putting to this job into a business of mine that I call my own, that I'm able to either pass down to my kids or whatever the case may be. But I knew that I wanted to put all that energy into my business. Y'all, I'm a good employee. Like, and that's not even me trying to toot my own horn. Like, I am really good because I just want to do the best and be the best wherever I am. And so when I am thrown into an environment of being like, an employee, like I just go all in. And so I just had a thought to myself that if I just put all of that into a business, man, what can I do? I can't even imagine what I would be able to do. And so, you have those like transparent moments with well, at least I had those transparent moments with myself when I had my daughter, because you're very close to death. I don't think anybody warned me about how close you are to death when you have a kid, but I just had a couple complications with my pregnancy, the postpartum. and I had a realization, like I really had to reevaluate what I wanted to do with my life, where I see myself going, how do I want to live. And so those are all the thoughts that came with it. But going back though, my main point in all of this when it comes to me transitioning into business is that association. If there's anything that you took from point 2 is the importance of association. I'm sure you've heard the saying that we're the average of the top 5 people we hang around. That's the same case when it comes to what you are consuming on your phone, digitally as well. So I do want to challenge you. I'm not telling you to drop anybody or anything like that, but I want to challenge you to look inside your circle. Is there anyone that is either challenging your thinking? Is there anyone in your circle that have reached the goals that you are trying to go and reach? And if there is not anyone in your circle that's like that, then I challenge you to go to networking events, network online, and start to have those conversations. Just have conversations with people, and also digitally as well. What are you consuming in your mind? Are you just spending hours just scrolling, right? Scrolling at other people living their life? Or are you on YouTube just consuming from or learning and growing from other people that have either reached goals that you're trying to go, or just like a peer that are sharing their journey, and you are just consuming their content to just learn from it, so that you either don't make that same mistake, or you can just grow together, right? So I challenge you and really think on your association. So point 3, the last point that on this episode today, I want to get into redefining what success looks like. I think I've done this several times now post college, just because as you grow, I think it's a good habit to get into, right? Because as you are, for me, right, you graduate college, I'm single and have no responsibilities, right? Your goals are going to look different at that stage versus now I'm married, I have 2 young children, right? So my goals look totally different now. So I definitely encourage you to really sit down and ask yourself what success looks like, right? When I think back when I first graduated college, in those first few couple of years post college, as athletes, we are conditioned to perform. We were chasing the stats, the championships, the rings, right? So we're conditioned to having to do some type of performance to get some type of output. And so I for several years, right? I'm on hustle mode. I'm grinding. I'm just spending hours and hours and hours to my craft and whatever that looked like. And so that worked for, and if I'm being honest, it worked for me being an employee. But as I am building, businesses, I knew that is not the type of work ethic I needed to do. I learned quickly that I might look like I am busy, but all work is not good work. All work is not moving the needle in my business. And so I had to relearn that, at least as far as my work ethic. I cannot put that same work ethic from being an athlete, even being an employee, to my business. And then I also had to think about what my why is. I am big on that. Because let's be real, business is hard. man, I mean, even when you have everything figured out, you're still going to question, is this even, am I meant to go down this path? Or like, I don't know. I have this idea and I just, you're going to think about that because entrepreneurship is just, it's a roller coaster. You're going to have good months. You're going to have bad months. You're going to have really low months, versus an employee when it's a stable paycheck. You don't really you might go through those moments outside of, well, I'm not going to say you don't have those moments as being an employee because it's just different, right? You might be dealing with a boss that you do not like, or even a coworker, being around people that you don't enjoy, having to navigate different personalities. You do get a little bit of that, working in corporate. But now it's a different scope. It's just finances, you're not in control of your finances, but like now your business, your finances are tied to your business. So yeah, I had to really sit down with myself and really look into what that looked like for me. Another aspect I will say, was finding my purpose. I kind of want to talk about that a little bit because for a while I thought that my only purpose was basketball. I thought for a long time that God only placed me on this earth to be good at basketball. I only was talented in basketball. And I struggled with that for a very, very long time. And I think that is kind of one of the things. I had a different reasons on why I was wanted to do so many things in business and was jumping from business to business. But I was desperate to find what else I was good at. What is my purpose on this earth? And it wasn't though until I dived deeper into my relationship with God where I started to see what his plan was for me. And honestly though, I think it was really good for me to just do. And when I say do, I mean to just build different businesses because I know like some people get so stuck on the starting period or even before that, the planning period, where it's like, oh, you're planning all these things. You might even be learning and watching all these podcasts and YouTube videos and all the things. And you just spend a lot of time in that phase where you don't even take any action. And so for me, I took a lot of action. A lot of action. And so I think that also helped, along with growing in my faith, reading the Bible more, because God was able to show me what he had planned for my life and what his will is for me, and I think that's been such a refreshing journey. Honestly, it's been so refreshing because I have been fighting like, and honestly, it's probably because it came from a place where of just me having to figure it out all on my own, and that's why I was just tussling and fighting with the feeling of like, oh, I can't find my purpose. This doesn't feel right, and oh my goodness, versus allowing the Holy Spirit to lead me. That's why that's why I don't think that action was such a bad thing, because as I am doing these things of building my business, because I knew at some point though, like 3-4 years ago, I knew I got a vision and everything that I'm meant to be on a stage. I don't know what type of capacity. This could be my stage, right? I don't know what capacity that is, but I was meant to be on a stage sharing my story. I am meant to be growing a business. I just don't, I at that point, I did not know what business that was. I knew that I was meant to build a business. So knowing that, I just had to take action. And so I knew that God will, direct my path, and I would be led through the Holy Spirit on what that all looked like. I'm just gonna have faith and just do what take some action and do some building. And it wasn't until probably like this year. This year has been a transformational year for me. I honestly started the year off with that word transformation. And we're in April now. I've been nothing but transforming, I should say, this whole entire year on just different things in my life. And so I know that I am just getting closer and closer and closer to really what God is having designed for my life. So with all of that, with point 3, just really sit down with yourself, journal, take the thoughts out of your mind and put them on paper. If you're like me, I have been actually utilizing ChatGPT a lot, and actually logging my journals there. So if you're like me, just journal and really think and reflect on what success looks like for you, what your purpose is. And if you do not know, I encourage you to take more action. Do the things that scare you. If it's going to that networking event by yourself, do it. If it's if it's starting a podcast and you're just scared or out of your mind, or you just don't know what your podcast will what like really look like, what it will all consume of, just do it. Start very messy. When I tell you I have been doing this messy, I have been doing my content messy, listen, I'm growing. You're going to grow, you're going to learn, and you're going to evolve. So why not just do it now so that you can get closer to getting better at that craft? So to wrap it up, that's what I wanted to talk to you all about. Hopefully you got something out of it. And if you enjoy these solo podcasts, let me know. Share it in the comments down below. I would love I can do more of these solo podcasts. If you like them, kind of sprinkle them every now and again with some guests that I bring on. And so another thing I want you to take from this podcast, that you just think about, if you are an athlete, you are leaving the sport that you have spent years playing, know that you're not starting over. You're not starting over at all. You are going to evolve into becoming a better version of yourself. You do not have to try to close off that athlete period of yourself. Build upon it and use that in some way. And that could be either starting a business, use those skills that you have learned from being an athlete. I'm always going to be an advocate of starting a business, whether it's on the side of your 9 to 5 or being a full-blown entrepreneur. But I definitely encourage you to do something like that, because I believe that athletes are the best in business owners and can be the best. We already have the foundational skills of being a good entrepreneur. So again, subscribe to the channel. That helps me grow. That helps also to bring in more wonderful guests. And comment down below if you like this style. Like the video, and I will talk to you in the next episode next week. Peace out.